Hi there, it's February 22nd, 2024. Welcome to episode 311 of Roqe. I'm Jian Gomeshi. Hello to you from Toronto. Salam Dustan Aziz Durud Bashama. Hope you are doing well wherever you are tuning in from around the world. It's no secret that we increasingly live in a world where we are necessarily skeptical about the authenticity of images that we consume. Some of this is due to straight-up deception, falsified information, even political, military, or national attempts at distorting reality. But what about on a more personal level? How much can you trust what you see in your Instagram feed? And should it matter? Should authenticity matter? Back in the day, by which I mean, say, 25 years ago, the advent of digital cameras allowed us to suddenly take more photos than we did when we were beholden to expensive film reels, but we were still hostage to whatever appeared on the screen. A lousy photo could not be changed or augmented or adapted unless you were some kind of creative graphic artist or an animator. For most of us, we lived with photos and videos that included extra weight on our face, dodgy lighting, imperfect physiques, or bleak backgrounds. Well, today, as we all know, it's a different world. Filters and photo editing apps have enabled us to change the way our images appear in any manner we wish and to win the clicks and love of our followers based on what we post, no matter the truth, if you will, of the presentation. Of course, there is a creative element to this. It's fun to change images and use colors and graphics and editing and AI to mess with the photos and videos we take. Never in history has it been so easy to present a different version of ourselves, and on some level that can feel artistic and be downright empowering. But today we ask, are Instagram filters and social media picture filters in general a good thing? Beyond creativity, self-exploration, and even confidence that can derive from filters, what about the downsides? Can we possibly dispute the negative elements of creating distortions of reality, the perpetuation of stereotypes, and the normalization of perfectionism when it comes to beauty? Is there something to be said for the impact of self-perception, erosion of authenticity, and influence of social norms that may not be so positive? To be sure, the issues around Instagram filters are not limited to Iranians at all, but it may be a fair bet to say Iranians love using filters. So today we ask the question, are Instagram filters a good thing? And we've got an excellent panel with Kusha, Alagband in LA, Shirin, Nasseri in the UK, and Pega and myself here in the Toronto studio, ready to debate. Here we go. Let's get started. Good to have you with us. Strap yourself in. This is Roqe, episode 311. Are Instagram filters a good thing? We are back in the Roqe studio, and Smart Pega is back in the Roqe studio. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Step into your microphone. Don't be shy.
It's been a little while. I've forgotten.
Well, yeah, it's your bi-weekly sickness. You weren't here last week, but I'm so happy to see you.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
And really looking forward to the great filters debate.
Me too, actually.
I don't know if it'll be a debate or a discussion or a meditation.
I think there will be some debate. There's got to be. I mean, there's debates over which filters to use at the very least, right?
Two of my favorite mammals.
Mammals.
I don't know how they'll feel about that. Yeah, I mean,
okay.
Whatever species.
You started good with the whole favorite humans.
Kusha in LA, Shirin in the UK. They're both thoughtful. Mm-hmm. They both think about imagery, and they both have experience in being on camera and video. And I mean, Kusha's a photographer. Shirin was on TV for years. But they're both active in social media. Mm-hmm. I don't actually know their official positions on filters. I don't even know how much they use filters.
We'll find out.
But I thought that they would be interesting for this panel.
For sure.
And I want to explore, we're going to talk about the positives and negatives, just announcing that we're going to do this. There's clearly a divide. The audience has a lot of opinions about this. And some people are really on the negative side. I would never use that stuff. It's not real. And then some say, calm down. This is life. This is fun. What's the big deal? Why not look at good pictures of each other? And that we've been doing versions of filters
exactly
throughout the ages, whether it's makeup or whatever, facial augmentation, whatever we do to make ourselves look better. Speaking of which, my week, what a disaster. I woke up on the weekend. I was trimming my facial hair.
Okay.
The facial hair
I'm so glad you're going to explain what happened, because I've been dying to know what led to this decision.
You don't even believe that men should ever not have facial hair.
I do not.
To me, I'm no longer
I'm talking to a different person right now.
I'm no longer a man to you. I am.
I wouldn't go that far. But
I woke up. I was like trimming my facial hair, and I thought, why don't I just shave it off? It's been a long time. It's been 8 years officially. And even before that, there was like a little period where I had a shaven face. And then before that, I had facial hair. So it's been a long time. Like so long that my dog, Oogie, when greeting me after I shaved my face.
He didn't know who you were.
He did know who, like dogs can, there's a lot of things going on with dogs. They, the scent, there's the feel, touch, whatever. He knew it was me, but he was kind of like, he cocked his head, French bulldog style,
what possessed you to make this
Dad,
decision?
what's going on? What's happened? Has someone done this to you? But yeah, so I mean, and Oogie is younger. I mean, he's about to turn 6.
Wow.
He's younger than my facial hair was. So, so it's anyway, I mean, I did it and I knew this was going to happen. Like I knew as soon as I did it, I would have some I'd
regret?
wonder, was this the right thing to do? And
how do you feel? Was it the right thing to do?
Well, let me tell you, I posted a couple of photos, which of course has its positives and negatives.
Did you use a filter?
As we segue, I did not use any filters.
Okay.
Would that I knew how to, first of all, someone needs to teach me the filters. Like I need to learn. I really don't even know on Instagram how to do the thing to get the filters. So
right.
when it comes to me, I mean, I'm going to make some grandiose statements probably against filters today, but I would use them in a second if I knew how to, probably. No, I posted without filters. I put these photos. Now, first of all, I should say before I did that, I texted these photos of myself. Like I took some photos of myself. I took like 15 photos. Trust me, the ones I posted are the best of 15.
Okay.
Right? They're not like, it's not like that was the first photo. So, and I sent them to my ex-girlfriend, my most recent like long-term relationship that I had. And her reaction was, oh, like literally the first response was, oh, wow, what made you do that? Which was just like, oh my God, what, and I was like, so you don't like it? And she said, no. I mean, you look much younger. And I have to say that the mass majority, so then I put them on Instagram and said, okay, I'm going to out myself also because I knew videos are going to start coming out of me doing interviews or whatever without the facial hair. And people are, so I figured I'd get ahead of that and put a photo of myself and say, look, this is the new version for now. I can grow this back in a couple weeks.
Back, yes.
Yeah. And I also wanted to see, take the temperature, see, do the exit polls, right? And I mean, people have been very kind, which I think is nonsense. I mean, it's kind of like any time you do something, if you dyed your hair blonde and put a photo of yourself, people would probably like it because they'd be like, oh, she's done something, we have to support her. So, but in the comments, there were a lot of people saying, and I could tell some people were like adamant, like, yes, no riche, no facial hair, good for you. Sirus, our, kurosh, whatever, like our history, is clean faces or, whatever. Like, people were saying all kinds of things. But
statements.
But the overriding thing was, you look much younger, right? Which, by the way, I don't see.
I agree, actually. You do.
That I look younger.
Yeah.
No, to me, it's like I look at myself, I don't think I look younger. I think I look exposed. Like all of a sudden I see like my wrinkles under my face or like the jowls.
It's not like you had hair under your eyes.
I know, but somehow I look, but no, people have been very,
Right.
Now I think people are complimenting me by saying, wow, you look 20 years younger. Like if you go on my feed, 90% of the comments are, you look a decade, you look 20 years. I don't know if it's a compliment. And here's the thing. We are so conditioned to think that anything younger is better, right? But is it? Like,
You're asking the wrong person, because my stance on what men should look like is, first of all,
is
older, facial hair, salt and pepper. These are my preferences. So you're definitely asking the wrong person.
Well, and like asking my ex-girlfriend was the wrong person too, apparently, who was just like, yeah, will this grow back? Like, is this a condition now? Or, she actually said, did someone tell you to do this? But anyway,
I thought you just had like an unfortunate shaving accident or something where you were shaving.
God. No, listen, I don't hate it. I'm not going to lie.
That's good.
I don't hate it. It does feel that exposition, that feeling of like being more exposed is actually kind of liberating. It's like, hey, yeah, this is me, man. This is my face. Sure. And it is nice that people think I look young, but I don't necessarily think younger means
better,
hotter. And that's the thing. I mean, that's like, I don't, at the end of the day, you want to look good. It doesn't matter if you look old or young or whatever. So anyway, but now let me tell you, there has been a litany, a parade, a waterfall, a rush of bearded men, Persian icons.
Oh, don't tell me that are all shaving?
They're contacting me, and I am not kidding. Contacting me going, maybe I'm going to do this.
Oh, dear
now.
God. What have you started, Gian?
First of all, not everybody agrees with you, by the way.
I know.
Even in our team,
most
Super P
people don't
was
agree
like,
with me, actually.
Super P's on team no Rish.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
But I knew, like I was like, oh, Pegga's going to hate this. Let alone, anybody that I've dated that apparently doesn't want to see me anymore. No, there has been a litany. So Shahrukh Mushkin Kalam, the fabulous artist dancer, says he has now this week shaven his face.
Oh, wow.
Behzad Bulur, the man of the beard, the ex-BBC presenter, fabulous artist, television personality, has contacted me saying, maybe I'm going to do this as well. And and I've got to tell you, there is something against the grain I like about it. In the 80s, for example, clean faces, that was what was in. So at that point, having facial hair made you either anachronistic, like you're a throwback, or you're a progressive. You're doing something that others are not doing. We live in an era where everyone has fucking facial hair. That was part of the reason I shaved. Like when every football player has facial hair, it's not a cool alternative thing to have facial hair. It's like the thing now.
Maybe
like
it's just because they've all realized
everybody
it looks
on Love
good.
Is Blind has a facial hair, so this is kind of going the other way.
Right.
Let's go clean. Let's see what happens.
Well, the good thing is you can grow it back.
And even growing it back is a disaster because the first few days you just look tired and like unshaven. Like it doesn't look like, you don't immediately look like you have like tahrish,
there's Instagram filters that you can use to put on a beard.
Perfect segue. Hey, I should just mention before we get to our panel, last week you weren't here. You missed Navon was here.
Yes.
It was lovely to have him on the show. He had some great perspectives. He's got this new record, Mesle Qable. I want to do a shout out to it because it comes out tomorrow. His new record. You want to check out Navon's new record. Also, if you're in the greater Toronto area, he has his album release here in Toronto on March 1st. I guess that's a week from Friday at the Bathurst Arts Centres. Check out Navon. Also in the coming days on Roqe, Sara Nayani, she of the incredible voice. Shapal Shapare, I believe with no facial hair. A Persian icon who does not have facial hair. Shahram has the facial hair.
Yes.
Right? Shahbal, I don't think.
I don't think so either.
No, yeah. The artist Mobina Nouri, who is in LA now, she is this amazing, dynamic, multidisciplinary artist. that is so originally from Esfahan, and got her PhD in London, now in the States. She's amazing. Thrilled to have her on. And Nima Behnoud, the mastermind behind Nimani,
That's right,
is going to be in our studio next week.
Very exciting.
And you know what the title of that episode is going to be?
What?
I'm really excited about this because I've talked to Nima about the focus of it, and he's into this. Are Persians inside Iran, are people inside Iran, I should say, more fashionable?
Yes.
He's going to argue yes.
I would agree
which is so
him.
interesting, right? Given all the challenges in Iran, his argument is in the diaspora, Iranians are still caught up in brand loving, enamored of the Gucci, the status, sartorial status idea, and that in Iran, perhaps as we've often seen that creativity is bred in suppressive societies or repressed, that is where the fashion is actually happening. So Nima Behnoud Nimani on the show next week. We'll talk about that.
Really looking forward to
that.
And
his journey, yeah. We are coming to you on roqemedia.com, and it's there that you can link to all of our platforms. We're on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Instagram, CastBox. If you like to see some visuals with Roqe, switch over to YouTube right now. And if you like your Roqe descriptions and bulletins in English and in Farsi, check us out on Telegram. Remember, you can support what we do on Roqe by going to our website, roqemedia.com, and becoming a Roqe member on our Patreon page. I should also mention, we're going to do a big announcement in the next, in the next few episodes about our next Roqe Live shows.
Yeah.
So we look forward to that. All right, let's get to our discussion for this episode. Are Instagram filters a good thing? What are the implications of social media photo and video filters? And are they making us healthier or not? As a society, I've got Pega here, of course. Let's introduce our two other esteemed roundtable panelists. They are both returning champions. She is an acclaimed professional photographer who is also a monologist and a social media influencer. She has gained prominence as the host and creator of her widely followed Instagram account under her name. Please welcome Kusha Alagband. Hello, Kusha.
Hi, Jian.
Hi, Kusha.
How are you today?
Well, I'm very happy to have you on the program for this discussion.
Happy to be here.
Thank you so much for doing this. And she is an Iranian-British TV presenter, producer, social media influencer, and mental health coach. Welcome back, Shirin Nasseri. Hi, Shirin.
Hi, Jian. How are you? Good to see you again.
Good to see you, too. I'm so happy to have both of you here. And I don't know if you guys were listening in, but it's been an epic week of facial hair, non-facial hair, filters, non-filters. Kusha, you've got are you giving a thumbs up?
I think you look a lot younger, Jian. I'm with Peg on this one. I prefer facial hair on men in general.
You told me this looks good. You told me to keep this.
But you look great. You posted these pictures. You look awesome. You look a lot younger.
See, this is what I'm talking about. You look younger,
change is
but
a good thing. Change is a good thing. I just happen to agree with Pega on this one. I just think facial hair looks really great on most men.
Well,
Thank you.
Well, then why wouldn't you tell me to keep it? Or grow it back?
Well, first of all, I didn't know that you shaved your facial hair.
No, you specifically said no. You said, I texted you and you said, no. Hold on. After a few weeks, you're going to get used to it.
It looks great. Wait, it looks amazing. I think that change is a good thing. I think it's only hair. It can grow back. You can keep it for a little bit, change things up a little bit. If you don't like it, you can always grow it back. I think you look great. I think you look hipper, younger, cleaner.
Thank you.
You look great.
Shirin, I don't even want to know what you think. I really don't.
On the contrary, you want to know what I'm going to say.
Oh, okay.
I have two questions. I was listening to your conversation with Pega and I took notes. I have two questions. First of all, why on earth would you ask your ex-girlfriend a question like that? And then second, you did not say, Pega asked it, you did not say why you did it. These are my two questions. Then I want to go to my next point is that, for example, people, now I cut my hair short after years.
Yes.
People have their opinions. Some people find it really cool, say beautiful. Some people say it's really bad. No, go back.
Yes.
I love it. That's what matters. Do you love it? That's it.
I don't think he knows.
I see. So you're no matter what people say, you love your short hair. You're rocking it.
I feel great. Yes.
I think the jury's out for me on why did I do it? Honestly, I do facial hair. In case you guys didn't know, I'm the only male on the panel. Let me tell you about men and facial hair. Sometimes we grow facial hair because we think it helps us if we have a chubby face, if we've gained weight or something like that. So you'll often see larger men, or people who have rounder faces or whatever will grow facial hair. I'm not sure it always works that way, but it helps with some kind of definition. And I have recently, like for the last number of months now, been working out fastidiously. I've lost some weight. I feel good. I feel energized. And so part of it was I was thinking, there's been times in recent years when I wouldn't do this, but now I feel like I'm comfortable enough. I'll be okay with my face if I shave. Sometimes you just want to know what's underneath there. It's like, what's going to happen if I was thrilled to find out my skin is actually not so bad. Who knows what's under there, right? And yeah, it was just kind of a spontaneous. Let me see how it feels, what it feels like. There are times in my life, in my adult life, when I've not had facial hair, and I sometimes look back at those photos and I think I really like it. So this was something, and I do know that it also depends on you have to kind of change your hair a little bit. Right now it's cold in Toronto. I don't have any sun. There's going to be things that help the non-facial hair look. Not to go this deep into this. You asked me the question. So anyway, I think maybe, but I have to say the overwhelming response.
Younger, kinder. You look kind.
Oh. You see, that's why my ex doesn't like it. Oh. Who wants a kind person? I mean, that's. They've lost.
Who wants a young, kind person? Really?
People want. No, I joke. I kid. Eddie. I asked my ex because I still care about her a lot, and of course, and maybe too much because her opinion really drove me down. Really drove me down, man. But yeah, no, I kind of like it actually. I'm not gonna lie. I sort of like it, and it's wonderful to get a bunch of compliments. So I got like 90% of the people. There's been some people who've gone, no, bring back the Riche, but I have to say that most people, and for every person that, like you, Pega, that says you prefer men with, there are people who really don't like facial hair.
I'm sure.
Who are just like not attracted to it. So that's good.
I am very happy that at least someone else on this panel is siding with me though. So thank you, Kusha.
Totally, all the way.
All right, let's get to our the reason for bringing this esteemed group of people together. Are Instagram filters a good thing? What are the implications of social media photo and video filters? I thought we would start this. I have some specific questions I'm going to be asking you guys and ask you to agree or disagree on with respect to the positives and the negatives of Instagram filters. But I thought we'd just start off with everybody getting a moment to give a general thought to kick things off. Give me a one minute or less opening about your feelings on social media filters, on Instagram filters, in a very general way. Let's start with you, Pega.
I think, first off, I think there's a distinction between talking about adults versus talking about kids or teens who are now on social media. I think as adults, we all know and we're aware to a certain extent of how harmful these filters or augmented reality things on social media can be. And the truth is, I think almost all of us are guilty of using them at some point or another. They're very similar to any other form of enhancement, whether it's makeup or plastic surgery or anything else. I think with those as well, as adults, we know that there are some pros and cons to using all of those. And I think with filters in particular, because of the accessibility of it, as long as we're mindful of how we're using it and how often we're using it and what we're portraying to people when we use these filters, I think partly it's okay.
Okay. Thank you. A little over a minute, I think. I appreciate it. Kusha, to you.
I tend to agree with Pega. As a mother of two teenagers, I often worry about how the extreme use of filters affects my children. But having said that, I'm a professional photographer and I like the aesthetics. And I think that everything, as long as it's balanced and used in the right way, can be okay. So you can use, as long as nothing's too extreme. I don't have a problem with it.
Shirin?
I would say no. I kind of want to disagree with, not disagree with what Pega said. She said, as adults, to some extent, we know that filters I mean, these things can be harmful and stuff. I think it's the fault is on adults, to be honest with you. No, adults don't know the extent of harm it's causing. Like most of people they use these filters are adults, or they fit into the category of adults, but they misuse it, abuse it, in my opinion.
All right. Let me throw out a couple of more general. That's good. We got the sort of lay of the land there. And I think I'm more on based on what's been said. I think I agree with you, Shirin, that if I were to fall in any direction at the beginning of this conversation, at least, maybe you guys can convince me otherwise, I would say I'm also someone who just thinks the internet in general has not been a successful journey, but I think these filters can be very damaging or deleterious. But let me ask a couple of general questions before we get to the specific questions I want to get you guys to agree or disagree on. My hypothesis has been that while this is far from being an Iranian-specific kind of issue, Iranians tend to like and use filters, and I know we could spend 5 episodes on this alone, but just to ask you, why do you think that is, Kusha?
I don't think Iranians tend to use filters more than any other race. We're just focusing on Iranians more. I see a lot of my friends that are, different races, and they're overusing and misusing, as Shirin. But I actually really agree with Shirin on that point about misuse and overuse. But I see it with everyone. I don't think it's an Iranian problem.
Okay.
I just think that we just focus more on Iranians because we're in this, space.
Okay. That's not been my experience in terms of if I were to judge my Iranian friends versus my non-Iranian friends in terms of the
But I'm in Southern California. What do I know?
That's right. We should separate people from Southern California of whatever background.
I'm in Orange County. What do I know?
Shirin, the same question. Do you feel like
yeah, I also don't think that it's Iranians use it more than other people. Again, I see people using filters everywhere, like especially with TikTok. Since TikTok has come in, most of people use filters. I think with Iranians, what I would say we use the most is we don't need filters. The filters come with injections. And
we've already done all the filtering. Yeah, right. You don't need the filter that makes your nose look smaller since you've had 4 surgeries already. When did you start seeing the widespread use of filters? In other words, I don't know care about the facts and figures, but when did you really start noticing this? Pega, start with you.
I think I really started to notice it during the pandemic, when there was a huge rush of people kind of using social media and video content more, if you will. That's when I really noticed it. And just going back to your last question, I think as opposed to saying Iranians or Persians use the filters more, I would say it's the demographics. So slightly younger demographics, potentially, depending on age or what they're doing online. I think that has a bigger impact. So if you're a content creator or you're using social media more, probably that would be what I would.
By slightly younger, you mean men in their 50s who. Let's get to an agree and disagree game here that I've developed. This is where I've written a number of little statements that are versions of truisms that are on either side of this debate, and I'm going to throw them to you guys, and you can agree or disagree, and then we'll have a conversation about it, almost like American presidential debate style here. So let's start off with something positive. here's a little paragraph I've written. Self-exploration and identity. This is on the plus side of Instagram filters. Filters can facilitate self-exploration and experimentation with different looks and styles. They can empower individuals to explore aspects of their identity, such as gender expression or cultural heritage, in a safe and playful manner, fostering self-discovery and acceptance. Self-exploration and identity. Kusha, do you agree?
Not really. Not really. I mean, not really. Can you go to the other next person? I'll think about that.
Sure.
Because I just feel like that kind of sounds like a cop-out. It sounds like a little bit of an excuse. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just a very deep explanation for something that's very superficial, and I don't know.
So the idea that this is you as a photographer too, that this is a way that someone can explore their identity, their cultural heritage, or do this in a playful and a manner of self-discovery is that it's kind of bullshit to you.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
Shirin?
It just doesn't. It sounds kind of like yes.
I can understand why Kusha says it doesn't make sense to her. I guess that maybe Kusha hasn't seen the variety, the spectrum that filters come in. Whereas, so like I can make an example to just say I agree, Gian. Why? Because filters do not limit to beauty filters. For instance, just today I was going through like TikTok, and I saw this person using this filter, and I loved it because I could try my hair in red, and that was a filter.
Right.
Or there's a TV show in England called Glow Up, and it's for makeup artists. It's competition, and one of the episodes was for these people in that show to design a filter for Instagram for users that would let them express themselves, like a drag kind of thing.
Right.
So
there you go.
Yes,
Yeah.
that sense.
And somebody can teach me the filter to grow back my facial hair without growing back my facial hair. Pega?
I think in the most idealistic sense, I would agree with that. But for most
Get closer to your mic, please.
general users, I would say no. I think I agree with Kusha that it's a cop-out. I think people are more
Pega.
vain.
These are not necessarily my opinions, by the way. You're welcome to all disagree without offending me.
Okay.
Pega, just stay
Although
close to your
Shirin
mic.
she had great points. I'm not going to disagree with Shirin either, but thanks, Pega.
The amount of love so far.
It started with the facial hair. See? Now we know.
You guys
Well, it
aligned.
makes sense.
Let me try another one here that not so positive. Distortion of reality. Instagram filters can distort reality by altering facial features, skin tone, body proportions. This distortion blurs the line between authentic self-representation and digitally enhanced personas, potentially leading to a disconnect between users' online and offline identities. Pega.
Strongly agree with this. I think that definitely that's the case. I mean, there have been numerous studies done that have shown that the use of filters have become one of the leading causes of depression, of decline in self-confidence, and body dysmorphia. So, of course, I would have to agree with this one.
So, okay. So, Shirin, let me get you to respond to that.
I agree in one word, but if I want to elaborate, the thing is that even what bothers me is with certain filters, if we go into the definition of the classic typical definition of beauty, even the people who check that box, if they use the filters, they won't like their original face. So it's crazy. I can I go on, or you want me
No,
to
please go
finish?
on. I mean, there's no, yeah, please elaborate.
Sorry, I just want to again make an example to say that, like, if there is this filter that make your face like square and like with a lot of pimples and things and all of that, and there was this trend that happening, so you use this filter for 10 seconds, you look at yourself with that extreme in quote unquote ugliness, and then take that filter off and look at your original self, and you suddenly see, oh my god, this beauty prince and princess who this is.
Yeah.
So that's how it does it other way around, you know what I mean?
You know, let me I don't know how much the agree disagree game is working, but let me bring in what I was going to say as one of the follows, another statement, because it's the yin and yang of what we just talked about in terms of distortion of reality. Empowerment and confidence. For some users, filters can be a source of empowerment and confidence by enhancing their appearance in a way that aligns with their self-perception. Individuals may feel more comfortable sharing their photos and engaging with others on social media. So where is the line, Kusha, between that empowerment and confidence, unless you totally disagree with that, and the distortion of reality that can be deleterious?
I think that just like we step out of the house and we put on a lipstick or we fix our hair, it's nice to make subtle changes just to look cleaner, just for our images to look cleaner. But I think that a lot of people, again, to quote Shirin, they really misuse these filters. I see these Persian girls that are 5'2", 5'3". They take their legs and they elongate it. Listen, I'm 5'10" and I have really long legs, and my legs don't look as long as these girls do on Instagram. You know, this is not okay. It's not normal, because everyone's looking at these images thinking, why don't I look like this? Why don't I have a waistline like this? Why are my, and you look at this girl, I see her at Starbucks and her legs are short. So this is a problem, you know, and my daughter sees it. I'm 5'10" and I look at these girls and I'm like, God, my legs aren't this long.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I don't know so much about empowerment. I think we give ourselves a false sense that we look great and we post those pictures, but at the same time, we're making everyone else feel really, really bad about themselves, because they get into this trap of comparison, and it's just not real. It's not real. So I really have a problem with people, you know, distorting their images. I think it's nice when you have a little filter as a photographer. Again, I've used filter where you clean up little, runaway hair, hair, or you clean up the face just a little bit, but to actually refigure, what is it? What's the word?
Reconfigure?
Thank you. Reconfigure it. Everything is just, to me, is ridiculous. And plus, I wouldn't want to be that person where I use filters so much where when I go outside, people say, oh my God, that's her. She doesn't look like her pictures.
But it sounds like you're saying yes to filters, but not in excess. But then it becomes a gradation of how much filter you should or shouldn't use.
Just like everything else in
life.
Well,
who decides that? Who decides what's okay and not okay?
I just think that you just have to have a lot of people. Nobody decides. I mean, it's just we have to use our own discretion. Mm-hmm. We have to use our own discretion, have some sort of a discernment to know, and that's people just, and that's how people are. It's different. It's just they kind of They have to use discernment. Some people have it, some people don't.
Pegah, let me call you out, because you just said the distortion of reality thing. You strongly agree that this is an issue. It's can distort facial features, skin tone, body proportions, etc., and that can be problematic, can be damaging. You started this whole conversation saying we already do filters in all kinds of other ways, plastic surgery or makeup or augmentation or Botox. I don't know what. So why pick on Instagram filters? Are all of those? Are they not all distortions of reality as well then.
I think, it's been mentioned a couple of times. I think Shirin mentioned it first, that it was the misuse of these things. That's number one. And number two, I think, Instagram filters or Snapchat filters or whatever application you're looking at, it's so much more accessible than, plastic surgery or whatever else may be the case. Even with makeup, it takes time for you to actually apply your makeup, whereas you just open up your camera on these applications and within, half a second, you've got a filter on your face and it looks like you have full glam.
But that's great. That's really helpful for someone, a busy person like me, who also needs to create videos on a daily basis. I don't want to put on makeup every day. And most of my videos, one filter does the job. I'm happy with that. I am at home, no filter on, and I make a video which has a filter on, but then again, I'm not misusing it, or I'm not using those exaggerated filters.
And I think that's the thing, is that that's where you draw the line, is that, for someone like yourself or any other content creator out there, this is a tool and you're using it in order to advance what it is that you're doing, right? But then when you get into the situation where you're using it every single day, or like Kusha said, you're extending your limbs to the point where they're, you're falsifying your image to that extent, that's where I think you draw the line. And that's where we get into things like body dysmorphia and the lack of self-confidence and issues.
Let me get into but I mean, just on the point about erosion of authenticity, because that was going to be one of my agree-disagrees. We all, I've said this on the show a number of times, that, and I kind of obsessively think about it in life. I think about how future generations, like Kusha, your kids, or people who or my nephew, or even people who are Gen Alpha, the ones who are like 10 years old now, how are they going to know who they're about to meet for a coffee? Like, how are between filters and augmentation and photo editing apps and AI, we haven't even got, within the next couple of years, forget filters are going to be an anachronism. It's just going to be like, oh, let me press a button and AI will make me something. And the delta between what we present as our online persona and what people see when they meet us. I have had a personal experience where I was following someone. I was quite a fan of somebody who she was putting up these videos all the time. And then when I got to meet her in person, it wasn't a romantic thing or anything, but I'm not going to lie, I was shocked. I was like, wow, you don't look anything like what these videos that you make. And so there is a question around authenticity of that. Like, who am I meeting? Who is this person? And is that okay? What are your thoughts on that, Shirin?
I think, I don't think we should blame the people who are misusing or abusing the filters. The blame is on industries or whoever, organizations or people who value beauty to some, like, in a certain way. If a person is extending the length of their legs so much, imagine how they're feeling about themselves. Like, they're feeling shit about themselves. That's why they're doing it. If somebody is doing that extreme, there's so many filters on their faces with all the Botoxes and injections and etc. in real life, again, a filter on. Imagine how much they hate themselves looking into mirror or something. So what that tells me is that person is not confident. That person does not have self-esteem or self-confidence. Then it's up to you whether it affects you. If they are not confident, then you make a decision. For example, if you go on a date, blind date or first date, and the person comes to meet you is different completely, you shouldn't date them anymore because they're not confident, unless you want to date someone who's not confident.
But
that's my opinion.
Your empathy or sympathy for those folks is empathy is well placed and beautiful, but what about misrepresentation? I mean, if somebody's selling themselves, a guy is showing you he's a certain thing, and then you meet them for a business yes, go ahead.
That's not right. That's not right. But then, as Kusha also said, never ever in history of life you can just say what's good or bad or stop something from happening, prevent something from happening. These things are, it's just me who has to take care of myself and have my boundaries and stuff, like values. That's it.
Kusha?
Yeah, I just think that it's going to happen. There's no way of stopping it. My children are going to have to be exposed to this. But you know what? They're adaptable and they'll find ways to adjust to it, I hope. One thing that Shirin did say that brought up something for me is I've often experienced, in my Instagram stories, actually, I've done it less and less. It's funny. The last 6 months, I've almost gone with no filters. For some reason, I've all of a sudden decided, I can just kind of not do it, whatever. It is what it is. This is it. But I occasionally do use them in the morning when my face is puffy or like I'm going to work out, or it's just not a good look and I don't want to really make everyone scared, right? But sometimes the feedback is, and by the way, I use a filter that's very subtle just to kind of clean up a little bit. And sometimes I'll get a feedback like, you claim to be so self-confident, but using that filter shows how insecure you are, right? And that actually is such a trigger. That's something I need to work on if it's a trigger. But at the same time, I'm just like, you know what? I always think that, especially with women are the ones that say that, guys don't care. But, I always think like, us women, as a lot of us like to think we're feminists or, we're pro-woman. And isn't feminism about having the right to choose? Having the right to choose. And when I get up in the morning, I might want to use a filter without judgment from some other person. It's just funny how everyone jumps on the bandwagon and just assumes that you lack confidence or that you feel like you're not enough. I'm just a very vain person. I was brought up by a very vain mother. We just like to look really good when we go outside. We like to put our lipstick on. We like
but
to
sometimes,
dress well.
but sometimes it doesn't look good. And I'm not talking about you necessarily, but
no, that's okay.
Sometimes, like you look at someone, you go, in the same way you would react to someone who's done so much plastic surgery, they've altered their beautiful face, and you kind of go, why are you doing that? You don't need to do that. And that's the reaction I have sometimes with these filters, where I kind of go, dude, what's going on with this? There's you don't even look like a human.
Yeah,
that's different. I'm just talking about, I'm talking from my personal experience using very, very subtle filters. If anyone's seen my stories, they can agree. It doesn't change my face around at all. It doesn't even change the coloring that much. All I know is I look in that iPhone, I look in the mirror, and I look a lot better than when I put that. I don't know what happens in that process, but I look like so bad.
Go ahead.
I want to say something. Sorry. Instagrams, when you look at your phone camera on the camera of your phone, open it, that shows you a different person than what Instagram does.
Yes,
Instagram on purpose makes the quality of your skin becomes worse. So you use filters. Same as TikTok.
Okay, so let me ask you about Pegah. Did you have anything to say about the authenticity piece?
I want to jump in. Shirin mentioned something that I have to disagree with. You mentioned that we can't blame people for their use or misuse of it, but I really think that we can. I think again, and I'm only focusing on adults, because I think when you look at teenagers or kids, it's a whole different ball game. But when we're talking about adults, we are all aware of the fact that we are putting these filters on. It's a choice. Like Kusha said, sometimes you might wake up in the morning and you just want something to soften your skin a little bit because you've had you have a puffy face or something. A rough night, exactly. But then when you're putting these filters where it's enhancing your features to the point that you don't look like yourself, I honestly can't say that I know anyone who does that and doesn't realize that they're doing it. I think it's a choice that they're making. So, and I don't disagree with that choice. I mean, to each his own, right? But I think it's hard to put the blame on anyone other than the individual who's using it when we're aware.
Shirin, you probably want to respond to that, right?
It's okay.
Okay. Let me bring up something. Here's another agree disagree, but let me bring this up and put it to all of you because if the confession around the table is that everybody's used filters in one way or another, the impact on self-perception. So first of all, this is what I wrote. Constant exposure to filtered images can distort individual self-perception, leading them to believe that their natural appearance is inferior or inadequate. This can contribute to negative body image and self-esteem issues, especially among young people who are more susceptible to societal influences. Now, I'll use a personal example because I honestly don't know how to use Instagram filters. I don't know where they are on Instagram. So I've never used these filters, but and I've never used filters in general. But I do know on my iPhone thing, when I take a photo, you can press the thing and you can go vivid or dramatic dark or that kind of thing. So somebody like 5 years ago said, whenever you take a photo, just add vivid to it, and it'll look good. And so I do that, right? Oftentimes I'll take a photo of myself and then I'll put vivid and, to put it to like 50% vivid. And one of the things that the vivid thing, it doesn't change anything, but it somehow, erases some of the like it makes the photo more vivid, so you're not seeing as many lines and stuff. So I get used to so for me that's like something I always do. I put the vivid thing on and then put it out there.
That's a filter in itself.
And then where I'm going with this is sometimes I look in the mirror and I go, Jesus, like what my face, like, there's all these little spots or whatever that I don't notice when I do the filter thing. So the impact on my self-perception is even with that little thing is kind of profound to a certain extent. It's affecting me. Now, if I were going and doing stuff where my nose gets smaller, God, please teach me how to do that, or whatever, then, and I start getting used to seeing myself that way, am I not going to feel like an imposter in my own body when I look in the mirror?
Yeah, definitely.
Nobody wants to take that.
I'll take it.
Go ahead, Peggy.
I think that's exactly where these statistics about body dysmorphia are coming from. Is that I think there was another study that was done that asked online users if they've ever done anything like that, and 90% of users actually said that they have, and that's including individuals like yourself who don't necessarily even know how to use the filters, but are doing something similar to that. I mean, all of these are they fall under the category of filters, whether it's, an effect on your iPhone or something that Instagram has put out or whatever else. And all of this is really bleeding into and permeating the general beauty standards of our society. Not only you when you're looking at yourself in the mirror, but everyone. You're walking down the street and you're comparing yourself to the images that you're seeing day in and day out. Now, this isn't anything new. We've been dealing with this since the time of, fashion magazines and TV and advertisement and all of these things. It's now been taken up a notch, again, because of the accessibility that we have to these new technologies. And the reality is that the technology is increasing so quickly that we're not even able to catch up to it in the sense of studying it. I mean, we can't catch up to it in medicine with plastic surgery, and we can't catch up to it in terms of academia to study the effects it has. And that's why we're having these conversations. That's why, I myself, I look in the mirror some days and I'm like, oh, what do I look like? I don't look like myself because I'm used to seeing those beauty standards.
Shirin or
Can
Kusha?
I say something?
Yeah.
But Pega just brought something up that was really interesting. Pega, you were saying that before we used to just look at magazines, and now it's different. But wouldn't you argue that before we used to look at magazines and all these supermodels and we were just observers, always looking up, trying to look like them, right? Or many people. I'm not talking everyone.
Yeah.
But then now with the use of filter, I guess it kind of goes back to that empowerment thing that Gian was talking about in a way. That maybe now with the use of these filters, people just now feel a little bit better or prettier or more confident to come in front of the camera or to, I don't know. It just,
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of
until
both.
until we're
Until-
in the
yeah.
until we're naked in front of the mirror. I mean, that's the thing, right? Ultimately you where does imposter syndrome come in? I mean, even if you're, if you to take this to the extreme, I mean, I'm not someone who necessarily thinks I can depend on my looks for followers or something, but if you're someone who's gained a huge following because of your quote unquote beauty, and maybe you are very beautiful and you're using a lot of these filters and stuff, what happens when that beauty erodes, or what happens when you realize you don't look like that? I mean, I'm just playing it out, and it seems like
bad things.
Well, yeah, you've probably seen it in your industry, Kusha, right? You like this doesn't, and this doesn't. It doesn't feel like we're going two steps back, one step forward, or something like that. It's one direction. It's like more and more filters, augmentation, change, whatever, and the impact that has on psyches has got to be something that we address. No?
One thing that I
Go ahead,
Sorry.
Kusha first, then Shirin.
One thing that I've noticed, and this could be a little bit unrelated, but one thing I've noticed in my own page is the minute I stopped using filters is the minute I became a lot more relatable to people. And they actually, I think, liked me more all of a sudden. And they actually realized that there wasn't really much of a difference because I always used filters. So once I took the filter off, there wasn't much of a change there, but they took me a lot more seriously. Like what I said actually was taken a lot more seriously for some reason. And again, the filter that I use is not that it's very subtle.
But what do you
use filter, it's the response that I get is just overwhelming.
What do you conclude from that?
I do think that people, it goes back to what I was saying. I think that people immediately think that when you don't use a filter, you're a lot more comfortable in your own skin. So what you say and how you act kind of is in alignment. Do you know what I mean? Whereas when I put the filter, and I could feel the same way. I do. Again, I'm kind of a perfectionist. I really am. I admit it, and I'm kind of vain. And I do like to just for everything to look really pretty. I don't like to change the way I look, but I do like. I'm a photographer. I'm sensitive to lighting, so the filter that I use is as if I'm using really great lighting, like I'm using this ring light right now. Okay. But I think that when I don't use a filter, just people feel a little bit more of an authenticity there. They just feel like I'm okay. She's okay with her. She's cool. She's comfortable in her own skin. So what she says right now, I can take seriously.
Makes sense. To a certain extent, makes sense.
And also, I think that everyone's looking the same. I think these filters eventually, just with the plastic surgery, just with the makeup routines, just with filter, I feel like everyone's looking almost the same.
That's a separate point. I want to get to that. Let's just hear Shirin on this. Shirin, what were you going to say first before we get to that point? Go ahead.
There are a few things I took notes, but where should I begin?
The top of your notes.
Pardon?
The top of your note list.
Starts taking notes.
No, that's because I don't want to forget. So basically, one thing is that I'm going to tell you about my experience with using filter or not using filter. And you are right, Kusha. I think the thing is sometimes I am very tired and I want to come on my series of dishwashing and talking lives. And I put on a filter, but at some point through the show, I take it off. And I say before that, because I am very friend and close with my followers, and I say, guys, don't get scared. I'm gonna take off the filter, put off the filter, and then majority of them say you look better without the filter. That's one. Second is that while I don't think so, like they say that, but I don't think so. So the beauty is in the eye of beholder, right? But the other thing is magazines. You talked about magazines, and back in the day we saw them and they were like celebrities and stuff. When I disagreed with my shaking my head, not to disagree with everything you said, but to disagree that people saw that and felt shit about themselves. They just couldn't change it, right? But now they can change it, whether virtually or in real life.
That's my point.
Yes, and I think to go back to what Pega said, that disagreed with what I say, is that yes, blame. You say no, I do blame people. Okay, blame people, but how is that going to solve anything? Blaming people. I think people like activists, like there are so many people that I can make an example of, show that, listen, I laugh at myself and I love myself and I am fine with myself. I show you myself with filter and I show you myself without filter. So this means that we can be a unit. I can be one, but I can have different aspects of myself. Then people, that's why your followers are, feeling closer to you and more comfortable with you, because they are like, oh, that's a human too. I'm like me.
Pega,
so they can relate.
More relatable.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, I use the word blame, but I don't think it's a matter of blame. And I don't think that's the part that we're focusing on. I think the part that we're focusing on is the use of these things. I mean, there was a statistic that I was looking at, and there's a bold glamour filter on TikTok.
I love your statistics, by the way.
Thank you. That's been created with the help of AI. And I'm sure everyone here has either heard of it or seen it. It's the one where even if you put your hand like in front of your face, it still bounces back so quickly, so there's no wavering in the effect. And that has been used 129 million times worldwide. I mean, for that filter to have been used that many times, again, I think it's a choice. When we're waking up and we're putting on these filters, whether it's for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or every single photo, it's an active choice. And I think that's what I was referring to, is that it's not so much about putting blame, but it's just being mindful of the fact that when we're doing it.
Choice.
Yeah.
You said choice. It's their choice and stuff. I would love to talk about that for like the long run, but I don't think this is the place. But Gian, can we please talk about that like at some point? In another episode.
Yes, of course. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that we've touched on.
Because I think when we say that's their choice, yes, that's their choice, but our brain sometimes works on autopilot.
Mm-hmm. What I'm so grateful for this conversation and for the insights that you all have brought. What feels like, if I can summarize, albeit in a clunky way, that what we've come to is, it feels like it is the push and pull, the tug between creative self-expression and some forms of empowerment and self-assertion, and the concern around affecting authenticity, normalization of perfection, and distortion of reality. But there is one last thing before we wrap up that, Kusha, you touched on that I've been thinking about it, and it's funny that you went there, because I wanted to end off with this as it is, which is that, the 21st century, I was going to say in the West, but really around the world, is supposed to be about the celebration of the unique. Everyone can be their own, you be you, and this progressive woke idea that everybody gets to express themselves and wear whatever they want and be whoever they want, and you little monsters, you can be whoever you want, Lady Gaga will say, and yes, unique is now celebrated. And yet I can't remember a time in my lifetime, at least, where everybody has looked so much the same to me. Like it's like I fucking everybody basically, at least when people are trying, they it's a parade of people who are starting to look exactly the same, and that's quite sad to me. And so whether it's the surgeries or the makeup or the all the other things that we do as a society, if these filters are just contributing to homogeneity, contributing to this idea that we all just look the same, then I'm not so into that. Who wants to take that up as a final point?
I'll just
go ahead, Pega, Shirin, Kusha, and then we'll wrap up. Go ahead.
I'll just add to that I agree with you, and I think that definitely is a trend that we're seeing. But that really speaks to, beauty norms and societal views on beauty. We've seen that change over the course of history. There wasn't always the same definition of beauty. But if we're talking about these filters in particular...
No, sorry. My point was, yes, of course, there's always, the beauty myth, this is all, throughout history, there's always been a standard that everybody's aspired to. This was supposed to be the era where we celebrate the unique, where everybody gets to be who they want. That's my point. Right. I don't see that happening.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say that especially when you're looking at these filters, they're actually notorious for highlighting Eurocentric beauty features. And I think that's part of what's feeding exactly what it is that you're saying, where people are starting to look the same, and whether it be through filters or plastic surgery or whatever else. Again, Shirin, thank you for saying you love my stats. Here's another one. There was a statistic in a study done that actually showed that individuals are taking pictures of themselves using these filters and going to plastic surgeons and saying, I want to look like this. So this is where that kind of copy-paste syndrome, if you will, is coming into play, because we're using technology that is highly focused on one view of what beauty looks like, and we're saying this is the standard, and people are trying to make themselves look like that.
Shirin and then Kusha.
Okay. Copy-paste syndrome. Yes, that's very interesting, because I was reading the book, Psycho-Cybernetics. If you read that, this psychologist talks about it, that he used to be a plastic surgeon, and he says that a lot of people went to him saying that make me beautiful, handsome, whatnot, so I can become confident, and I made them the way they wanted to look like, and nothing within changed. So everything goes back from how you feel about yourself from within. So if people want to copy paste because they think they like the idea, they see me on my Instagram and say, oh, Shirin is so confident, let me go and get that haircut, because that will give me that confidence, and it's not going to do anything. That's one thing. And then I think this whole everyone
looks the same.
Looks the same. That is sad, I agree. But also, maybe you should change the group of people that you follow.
Well,
around you.
Well,
I don't think
okay. I think I'm for me saying that, I think I'm just making it overall. I'm just.
No, I talked that you wasn't towards you, Kusha.
Oh, no. I know. But because I brought it up first, and I said, it just seems like, when I go on the Explorer page, and listen, the people that I follow are nothing like that. But when I go on the Explorer page, it's like that Instagram face, and I feel like there's all these races, and they all look like Kim Kardashian from all these different races, right? So that's what. So my whole point to that was, I think after these couple of years, Pega mentioned, especially since the pandemic, where the use of filters has become a little bit more prevalent. I think that now, for me, just to wrap it up, I'm kind of coming to the conclusion that maybe now in this world where everyone's looking the same, maybe it's cool if my nose is a little bit bigger, or my face is not as symmetrical,
or my face is shaven.
Yes, shaven.
Exactly. That one I can't agree with.
You know what? I'm just me, and I'm actually becoming a lot more comfortable with that, even though I'm getting older, and that there's a lot of pressure with that. But you know what? I'm actually gorgeous.
Nicely said.
But I'm a lot more comfortable in my own skin now, and it's okay if my nose is bigger, and it's okay if I don't know. I'm just thinking like now, because that's so everywhere. I think looking a little bit different is actually very charming.
But
so I'm celebrating.
Shinja, it's not when you said the people I follow, change the people I follow. First of all, how dare you? I'm not going to stop following my Arsenal team. But secondly, I'm talking about in general. Just look at look at the Golden Globes. I can't even tell, actors and actresses, like I can't tell them apart anymore. Everybody looks the same to me.
Everyone's the same.
Yeah, it's
But
not.
that's a trend, guys. Like it existed even back in the day. موی گوگوشی مد شده بود. Everyone had gugushi style haircut. That's the trend.
I have to agree with that,
But again, we're supposed to be in the era.
Yeah, but like things are changing. This is the century. This is the time of day-to-day change to technology. Everything gets more accessible. We have to just accept that this is going to happen.
The promise. I disagree. The promise.
No, Jian, you have to
Shirin,
look like a duck.
The promise is the promise of the internet. And the promise of the 21st century and the promise of progressive ideas and progress was that we finally, everybody gets to be unique and all different sizes and shapes and races and all that would be. It's not happening. The very technology is being used for us to all look the same. That's my point.
Yes, but you are applying this to everybody. Not everybody is like that.
Of course, not everybody.
Then that's it. That's where I say no. It's not like everybody is looking the same. Everyone.
Let me tell you something. Some people are brave enough to shave their face in an era when others will say men should not shave their face.
So proud of you.
This episode was all about his beard.
Exactly.
I
plotted this.
Somebody teach me the filters to put the beard back on. I love you guys. You're the best. Kusha, thank you so much for making the time to do this. Shirin, I know it's late in the UK. You're such a dear friend to come on and be part of this. Thank you. I love your perspectives as ever. Smart Pega, merci.
Thank you.
I hope you guys will come back soon.
Is really smart. We love her.
Thank you.
See, living up to her name, the stats Smart Pega, SSP.
Do it.
Thank you, Shirin.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye,
Talk
Kusha.
to you later.
Bye-bye.
All right. Give us your thoughts. info@roqemedia.com. info@roqemedia.com, or just post on our platforms where we'll try and filter ourselves as much as possible. This is Full Time for Roqe for today. Our website, roqemedia.com. Thanks to the amazing team who put this show together. Super Parisa, Smart Pega, Savvy Rohan, Bearded Omid, Talented Anahita, Methodical Kaveh. Back next week with Nimani. Thank you to all of you out there for supporting us and sharing our content. Do subscribe if you haven't done so already. Find me on Instagram at Jian Gomeshi, and as ever, Mizun Bashin.